Hey, how's it going? My name's Joe, founder at Danby Marketing. Today I'm going to be talking you through 5 beginner use cases that recruiters, recruitment founders can adopt straight away if Clay is something that they're looking into. So all of these things you'll be able to just use straight away on a free trial so you can test out all the things that I'm talking about in this video for yourself. So the first thing that we're going to discuss is going to be how you can use AI web research to ultimately filter your list of companies down to make them more precise to who your ideal client actually is. So in Clay, to get to the point that I'm at right now, what you can do is you can use the find companies feature just here to then basically create yourself just a sample list of companies to bring into a Clay table. And when I say a Clay table, think of that as ultimately just a fancy spreadsheet that you're going to be able to just do a load of enrichments on. So this that you see right here is what we call a Clay table. It's just, as you can see, it just looks like a spreadsheet. So whenever you hear me saying that term, that's what I mean. So to get to the point that I'm at here, what you can do is you can use the find companies feature. This works exactly like, SalesNav, Apollo, whatever databases you've used in the past. Just build a very basic list of who your ideal companies are based on the simple firmographics that you have here. So after you get to a list of companies, you'll get something that looks a little bit like this. And these are just some examples here of how I'm using AI web research to ultimately filter down my lists. So let me just talk you through some of the enrichments that I've set up here. So to get to this point, what I've done is you need to go to add enrichment, and then you want to go to use AI, and then by default the AI will go to web research Clayagent. So we want to be using web research for this because there's two different types of AI that you can use in Clay. You've got web research, and then you've also got content creation as well. Image generation is a new feature, we don't really use that, but content creation and web research are the two main things that you're going to be using. So for this case, because we're going to be searching information on the website, we're obviously going to want to be using web research. And just so that you can get a feel of how this works, I'd recommend using Clayagent and using the generate my prompt feature here, just so that you can understand how to prompt optimally if Clay is something that you're going to be using in the future. So let's have a look at some of the enrichments that I've set up, and I'm going to tell you how you can rebuild them for yourself. So here we've got a retail construction verifier, if you like, and ultimately what this is doing is I'm searching the website and I want to make sure that the company I'm reaching out to matches the ICP. So I'm just getting Clayagent to filter through my list and verify that the company has an arm or operates in retail construction. Reason for this is because I've imported a big list of construction companies. Some of them aren't going to be my ICP, some of them are. So my ICP in this use case, I'm looking for retail construction and shop fitters. So this is the prompt that I've used, and to get to this point, like I said, what you then want to do when you go to use AI and then go to Clayagent is you can generate a prompt. So I can just say in here, verify that the company has an arm in or operates in retail construction or shop fitting based on the content on their website, and you can press generate. And then what's going to happen is Clayagent is then going to generate its own prompt for itself, if that makes sense. So you can see that the default model is selected to Clayagent here. Just so that you're super clear as well, Clayagent has 3 different models, varying in terms of how many credits it's going to use. I would probably recommend switching to Helium just for the first couple, just so you can understand how things work. But then you can generate a prompt for yourself, run that, and then ultimately you'll just be able to get Clayagent to go through your list and take out any companies that aren't going to be an ICP for what you're reaching out to. But that's how you can set up basic AI web research prompts like the one that I've just set up there. So that's a quick intro into AI web research, and the next thing we're going to be discussing is how to set up email waterfalls to find emails of decision makers. Okay, so this is an email waterfall system. To set this up, what you want to do, you want to go to add column and then press waterfall. change the data type to email. And then the 3 providers I'm using here are LeadMagic, Prospeo, and Full Enrich. If you are a heavy Clay user in the future, you can bring in your API keys for these softwares. But for the sake of this demo, I'm just going to show you how to set it up just with using Clay credits. So to do this, what you want to do, go to Add Action, and you can just search each of the providers that I'm using. So LeadMagic, you can press Find Work Email. If you want to test different providers as well, you can just type in Find Work and you'll get a suite of providers here. So I normally use LeadMagic. You then just want to go to add the output, which is going to be email here. Save that waterfall step, and then you just want to continue, just add all the other providers that I'm using. So the next one is Find Work Email. Again, just grab the email field from there, save the waterfall step, and then finally Full Enrich. Pull the email field, go to here, here, and then here. Change that to the key and save that waterfall step. So that's how you set up. Don't worry about this, these are just optional. That's how you then set up the waterfall. After you press save, you'll then get a system that looks like this. And so the goal of this demo, obviously, what you then do is you can just import CSVs into this system, and you'll be able to find the email for everybody in that CSV instantly. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to show you how it's going to work with me, and obviously not to release any data to YouTube. So if I just put in my full name here, and then just put in my domain, and then you see that this enrichment's going to run. LeadMagic has found my email, and then it just returns it as a custom waterfall at the end there. So that's how you can set up email waterfalls. You can set them up in whatever Clay table you want as well. You don't just have to have a specific table dedicated to finding emails. You can just set that waterfall up that I've showed you any way you want to in any table that you've set up, really. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is how to do this for mobile numbers. Okay, so on the mobile number front then, works very similar to what I just showed you with the emails, but this time instead of name and company domain, we're just going to be using a list of LinkedIn URLs. So use case for this is if you have a list of people who you have LinkedIn profiles for in your CRM, you can just bring all the LinkedIn profiles into here as a CSV. So you can just import them as a CSV like this, go to import from CSV, and then you'll just be able to map whatever you want into there. Once you have all the LinkedIn profiles in here, you can then set up a waterfall to immediately just find the mobile numbers of those people. So very similar to what I showed you with email. To set this up, you just want to go to waterfall. You can then just change this to number, and then you can just start adding actions. To do this, you can just search for mobile, and then you can just start adding different mobile number providers into here. So we use quite an array of different providers here. Prospeo and Wizzer have been the best two so far for us, and Contact Out is a really good one for just finding the mobile numbers that these other providers can't. So let me just show you how this is going to work for my LinkedIn profile. Okay, so if I just put my LinkedIn profile into here, you'll then see that this enrichment is going to start running. And hopefully Prospero won't find it the first time. I'm hoping that I get to show you just how the sort of waterfall sequence is going to work. But if one provider, it's found it. But if one provider doesn't work, then it will ultimately just waterfall down each of these providers until it does. So the next use case I'm going to show you is how you can find people within companies just by literally pressing a button. So before, if you used any sort of databases, you'll know that it's a bit of a struggle if you have a list of companies to then go and find who you want to target at those companies, right? And Clay have a really useful feature for this that's called Find People at Companies. So what you can do is when you have a list of companies that looks like this, you can go to actions here, and you can go to Find People at these companies. And when you do this, it's ultimately just going to bring up a search field for you that you can then use to just find people at the companies you provided. So you can see here we've just got a sample list of companies here with their company LinkedIn. What we can then do is just go and find the type of people that we want to go after. So let's say, for example, I want to target founders of these companies. I can then just do a quick preview of those people. and then Clay is just going to find any founders and managing directors that it can there. And then what I'll do is just import. There's only one because I only did like a really tiny sample batch here, but you can just build out like a big, search criteria of roles, locations, whatever you want to do, and then just search find people, and then you'll be able to just import anybody that Clay finds for you. So a really simple one there, just a quick use case for how if you only have like a list of companies and you need to find decision makers at those companies, this is just a super useful feature for you to be able to do that. And finally then, it wouldn't be a recruitment demo if we didn't talk about jobs. I'm just going to whiz over some of the job enrichments that you can set up at your company lists as well. So when you have a list of companies, what you can do is you can go to add enrichment and then search for job, and you can see that you've got this enrichment here that's called find active job openings. Okay, so what you can then do is just put in the domain. So in this case, I'm just going to use the master domain. What we can then do is just search for job title keywords that we're looking for. So say, for example, if I want to look for site managers, put that into there. Just list out all the different jobs that you want to look for in here. Try not to make it too precise. Like say, for example, if you're going after, I don't know, VP of sales, you might be better to do, sales and then VP potentially, or just, how would I do it? Just to have like different options. So maybe do like VP of sales, vice president sales. Just don't put it down to one specific role, because you want to give obviously client as many chances as possible to be able to find what you are going after. So that's just one thing to consider with putting job titles into there. You can then look at location, so you can specify it down to a specific city if you want, or just wherever you want to go. You can do it on a country level as well, whatever you want to choose in there. You can determine if a job has a recruiter. You can actually go and find that already. You can do the employment type, so put this down to full-time if you want to only look for that. Loads of different options that you have with this enrichment here. So if you want to enrich a list of companies and find the companies that are currently have a job open, you can use this enrichment to do so. You can determine the maximum days since posted as well. So obviously you don't want to find jobs that were posted last year, so you can maybe put like 30-day max in here, and then just continue to add fields, get it to output the title of the jobs, and then just run that enrichment, and you'll only be charged a credit for any jobs that are found. So just another quick one to just wrap that up. I hope this video has been useful for anybody watching. This was just 5 example use cases that recruiters can use Clay for. Thanks.